Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. My name is Daniel, and I'm so glad that each and every one of you are here. If you've been following along with some of the recent videos I've been putting out, then you know that we are finally completely finished with the C.S. Lewis Signature Classic box set. We have finally read through all 8 of these wonderful books in the C.S. Lewis Signature Classic box set. So today, in tribute of the journey that we've been on with C.S. Lewis's Signature Classic Collection, I'm going to be going through every book and ranking all 8 of these books from my least favorite to my most favorite, and giving a very brief synopsis of the book because, as you already know, I have book reviews of each book already up there on the interwebs for you to enjoy. I felt this was just a fair tribute and a farewell to this project that I've been working on. It's been a long run and it is finally complete. So without further ado, let's start going through the list of C.S. Lewis's Signature Classic Collection, and I'm going to be telling you why each one made it on the ranking that I gave it. So to start off at the very bottom, we're going to start off with my least favorite book. Now keep in mind, just because it's my least favorite book does not mean it's not a great book. I love C.S. Lewis. He's one of my all-time favorite authors, but it just ended up on the list because it didn't rank as well as some of the other books. So number 8. My least favorite book out of the whole box set is Miracles by C.S. Lewis. This book was an amazing book. It really did bring up an interesting topic, talking about materialism, spirituality. Is there more than what we see before us? But for as many pages as it is, I believe that C.S. Lewis does a much better job in other books putting more content into less pages. This is one of his thicker books in the collection, and I feel as though he could have done a better job expressing what he was trying to get across in fewer pages, and he did not keep my attention as well as he did in some of the other books. So, if you do want to read a book about C.S. Lewis talking about the possibility of miracles, this is a great read. But in my opinion, it wasn't as great as these 7 other books in this collection. All right, number 7 on the list of the C.S. Lewis Signature Classic box set is A Grief Observed. Many people really love this book. This is a great, sincere, short read. It is a collection of journal entries that C.S. Lewis wrote after he lost his wife, and it is very sincere, very personal. It is a beautiful book. But for me personally, I care an awfully lot about C.S. Lewis's philosophical side. I care about him talking about apologetics and all these other things. So while the topic was beautiful, while his writing was sincere and from the heart, he didn't even intend for this to ever become a book, but his son-in-law turned the collection of letters into a book. While it's a beautiful book, because I simply did not relate as well to the topic, because I just didn't find myself as invested in the content, it ended up becoming number 7 in the C.S. Lewis Signature Classic box set. All right, number 6, my 6th least favorite book in the collection, which is probably going to disappoint a lot of you because this is one of his widely popular books. And I think this book is a great book. It addresses the idea of hell, the idea that hell just might be locked from the inside. The idea that hell is the result of our disconnection from God. It's a result of our continuous grumblings, and it is something that we create for ourselves. And that is The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. Comes up number 6 out of 8 in the Signature Classic series. So this is an absolutely fantastic book. C.S. Lewis looks at hell in a very interesting light, and I really did enjoy this book. As I said about the last book, I really care more about his books where he's more sharp-witted with the pen, where he's more philosophical, where he's more getting into the apologetics and Christianity. And while this does do a lot of that, and he does it really well, it did not grab my interest as well as some of his other books. All right, moving on to number 5. So I actually have 2 books that's pretty much head-to-head for me, but I did put them in order, and there are 2 books that I really enjoyed, but they're just not my absolute favorites. So number 5 is The Four Loves. I think this book really stands out in the crowd, specifically because of the way that he defines friendship, the way that he believes friendship should be. I believe that he illustrates friendship in a very countercultural way, in a way that inspires me. And I just really enjoyed this book because he talks about the four loves in a way that most authors have neglected to do so. I think that he did a really fair, in-depth job at describing the four loves. And so this made it number 5 on my list. All right, getting into number 4. So this book did end up being more about apologetics, more about defending the faith, giving reasons for why we can believe in God, and specifically why we can believe in a good God even though we live in a painful, evil world. This book was right neck and neck with the four loves for me, but I did put it a step above it. So this is number 4. This is The Problem of Pain. This was a fantastic book. I do plan on doing some deep dives into some of the content on this book later in the future because he talks about so much. He talks about how can a loving God send people to hell. He talks about how can a loving God allow people to suffer, to be in pain. This is an age-old question. This is something so many people are curious about and ask about, and I think C.S. Lewis does a fantastic job at addressing the question. So this is number 4 on my list, The Problem of Pain. All right, so now we're getting into the top 3. If you haven't seen my book review videos on all of these books, as we've been going along, I've been putting a link above it. So go ahead and check out these book reviews. If you have been following along, you already know which 3 have made it into my top 3. And I wonder if maybe you can guess what made it to number 1. I'm sure you probably can because it's the last video that I did. But coming in number 3, this book has been extremely influential. This is one of C.S. Lewis's most popular books of all time, and it is the Screwtape Letters. It is a satirical take of how the devil, of how demons would tempt us into sin. And the way that he illustrates it is so smartly done because he doesn't just describe demons as these tormentors that ruin our lives, that make us fall into these terrible vices, but he goes a much subtler route where demons instead make us care only about ourselves. We live our lives only for us, and we can have a happy life as long as the demons make it so that we don't have a fruitful life. This was one of my favorite videos to do a book review, so feel free to check that out in the link above. But the Screwtape Letters made number 3 out of all 8 books of my favorite books in the C.S. Lewis Signature Classic Collection box set. All right, we're getting into the top 2. If you've been following along with my videos, I'm sure that you probably know which book this is, but if you don't, this is a worldwide famous book. This is a true classic that C.S. Lewis has written all about Christianity. This book, I believe, will continue to be passed on for ages because the content in this book is so incredibly important. It's important to C.S. Lewis's generation whenever he wrote this and created this in the era of World War II, and it's just as valuable now to our generation. And that is Mere Christianity, where C.S. Lewis really gets into the grassroots of what is Christianity. What do Christians believe? What are Christian virtues? And why is there reason to believe in Christ? Why should we defend our faith, and how can we defend our faith? So Mere Christianity made it number 2 out of 8 books in the C.S. Lewis Signature Classic box set. All right, so now we're getting to number 1, my absolute favorite C.S. Lewis book out of the C.S. Lewis Signature Classic box set. But before I get to number 1, I want to let you know that each and every single one of these books, you can get a hold of them by following a link in the description below. These books are incredible. I've been putting links next to each book for you to watch the video that I did explaining the overview for each of these books. I love this box set collection. I've had an absolutely wonderful time reading all of these C.S. Lewis books and getting to know C.S. Lewis's thoughts more. And so getting to number 1, This book, I think, is absolutely fundamentally critical. I believe that this book can be invaluable to our generation. In a culture where there's no such thing as moral values, where there is no such thing as right and wrong, where there is no such thing as objective moral truth, C.S. Lewis creates a defense for objective moral standards, for traditional values, and explains why destroying traditional values will be the undoing of man. And he does this in my number one favorite book out of this box set, The Abolition of Man. This was the last book review that I did. I saved the best for last. You can check that out above. But this book is absolutely incredible because he's fighting against the culture that believes that your feelings dictate reality. He's fighting against the culture that says that whatever you say goes. If it's good for you, then it's good for all of us. That there are no moral standards, that there is no truth standards, that whatever you feel in the moment defines reality. And he butts up against that and explains why that's not only useless, but also dangerous, and how it would ultimately be the abolition of man. So as far as creating C.S. Lewis collections, I believe that this truly is a set of classics. I love C.S. Lewis. I adore his Chronicles of Narnia series. I adore his Out of the Silent Planet series. But getting to know C.S. Lewis through this box set has been a wonderful time. And I also had a great time relaying some of the messages to you and all the book reviews that I did. My least favorite part about this box set is that it's really hard to put all the books in this box at the end of the day. You kind of got to squeeze them in there, make sure all the pages fit right. But you know what? Screw the box. Besides that, all of these books have been an absolute joy to read. And if you're a C.S. Lewis fan, I definitely recommend that you at least pick the books you're most interested in, or you can grab the whole box set down in the description below. I absolutely adore the works of C.S. Lewis, whether it's his fiction, his philosophy, his nonfiction, etc. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to read through that collection and share it with you guys. So I really hope that you pick a book and start reading, and let me know down in the comments below which books have influenced you the most. What order would you put these books in? What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Please let me know down in the comments below. Also, now that I'm done with this collection that I've been working on for a while, now what? And that's what I want to hear from you, the viewer. I would like to know what books you want me to start reviewing. I've been getting pretty much zero input from any of you guys on the channel, but I want to know what kind of content you guys are looking for so I can kind of aim my book reviews towards the audience. Because what good is it if I'm doing book reviews that nobody wants to see? So go ahead, flood the comment section, and let me know what books did you like that I did? What books did you hate that I did? What direction should I be going in the future? As always, if you like this video, smash that like button. If you want to see my face in more videos, smash that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more updates, some more videos. If you want to see more content from yours truly, follow my Instagram. The link is down in the description below. I'm going to be posting what books I'm currently reading, what books I'm going to do reviews of. I'm going to be putting my favorite quotes on there. I already have a good stream of content going, so feel free to catch up on my Instagram, and that's down in the description below. If you haven't had a chance to start watching my C.S. Lewis book reviews, I have a whole playlist just waiting for you to click on, so go ahead and follow that. But until I see you next, I hope that you all have an absolutely fantastical, wonderful day. Have a great day, guys.